Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, but I'm going to be doing another Tyranid painting video. Not necessarily a tutorial. I've been working on the Leviathan box set. I know it has taken me quite a while to complete any of the models on there, but hey, it takes a long time to paint something if you only got about an hour. Some nights, not even most nights. Kids make things challenging. But I've been working on this Leviathan box set for quite a while, since I got it back in the summer. I've got a few things to showcase finally from that box set. So we're gonna go over a few of those models now. Wanted to just show what I've been able to complete so far.
Taking the fight to the enemy.
And to start things off, actually the most recent model that I have completed is the Screamer Killer. So here he is, completely base coated with my black primer. I added some rocks that I found from outside to accompany the base. I will say I really enjoy these new models, but I'm not a fan of like the pre-made environment setting. As you can see with the Screamer Killer, he's got like his foot on like a part of destroyed ground with a pipe underneath. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. Here it is dry brushed with gray, and then I went over it with a white as well, which I don't have a video of. So once it was dry brushed in white, I went over with like a watered down field gray and covered the carapace. I then painted the claws, the teeth with a strong tone, and the fleshy bits inside is an alchemist purple, and then I go over it with a hive dweller purple as well, just to darken up the recesses. This is just that stage. Then I base coated it with Dark Angel's Green. So this is just a look at the entire model colored in the Dark Angel Green. Just an overall look at the model once it was base colored. Then I went over the carapace with Nuln oil just to darken the carapace a bit, draw contrast to the recesses. So this is just taking a look at all the carapace primarily with the Nuln oil on it. I also added a bit of just sprue glue on the back to make his back carapace look a bit more weathered. Thought it was a little bit too smooth, so I added additional texture to it on the back. Next, I highlighted the body, and that's what you are seeing here, as well as the carapace kind of accents around the edge. I always go around the edge of my carapace with a little spaceship exterior, just to show like those little scratch marks, hash marks that you see a lot on Tyranid carapaces. I do like that aesthetic. I also highlighted around on the fleshy bits with just a whitened up version of the alchemist purple. Also went over the top with a little just base purple around the ridge of his little vent things on the back of his carapace. And then I also went over it with some hive dweller purple because I thought it was a little too bright, so I toned it down a little bit as well. And then this is the final completion. It's been varnished, base has been painted, even touched up a little bit of the rocks, but that is the completed Screamer Killer. He is ready for the tables. Next, we move on to the Psychophage. So this is the Psychophage that has been assembled, primed in black, and then airbrushed with gray. I then went over with white as well, which I don't have a clip of, but this is then when I added the watered down gray with the Nuln Oil, as well as the Alchemist Purple, the Hive Dweller Purple over the fleshy bits, and I also painted the vent plumes, whatever those things are, on its back with Frost Heart, a Citadel paint, and then kind of just whitened it up layer after layer to get that kind of frosty glow look, I guess. That's what I was going for. This is then it fully completed. Base painted, highlighted, carapace highlighted. You got the Space Marine arm there at the bottom. Added a twig, some rocks to the base as well. Again, not a huge fan of the already made base stuff that they added, but this one's not too bad. Moving on to the Barb Gaunts. These are the Barb Gaunts that are base painted in black. Then went over with dry brush gray and white. This is just the back side of it as well. Next is what was painted with the Alchemist Purple, all the fleshy bits, the vents, the watered down gray around the carapace, as well as the blue for the brain. And then for the guns, I really struggled figuring out what I wanted to do with their cannons. So I just did I think it was a Slaughter Red and Fire Giant Orange for the tips. Red came out okay. Not the best that I was hoping for, but it'll do, pig. It'll do. So I've added the base paint here, as well as I believe I started to highlight them at this point on the base. Yeah, I've done some highlights on the base paint, as well as the guns, the cannons. This is once the highlighting was completed on the base, so their flesh. I haven't done the carapace yet, but I highlighted the brains. This is just a close-up of the guns. Highlighted the fleshy bits. And then this is when they were completed. So the carapaces have been hashed out, highlighted. Bases have been painted, added some texture to the base with some gravel. And then varnished to keep all that paint and hard work in. Next, moving on to the Neuro Tyrant. This is actually the first one that I was working on. So again, primed and then dry brushed in gray and white. This is once it was dry brushed in white. About the only model that I actually got some footage of my white dry brushing. Then I covered the claws, stabby things with my strong tone, as well as the frost heart on the brain. All the brain bits were done in the frost heart blue. Next, I went to the fleshy parts and the tentacles with the alchemist purple. And then once that was dried, I went over with hive dweller purple. I was seeing a lot of people were painting the tentacles as the base color of the Tyranids. And to me, I wanted them to stand out compared to the rest of the body, so I made them as like a fleshy bit. Like they were coming... In my mind, these tentacles are coming out of the body rather than part of the body. Then adding some paint to the bases. And I colored the carapace and covered those in Nuln Oil. This is just a back shot of the models. So they've all been... And I always paint kind of like inside out. So starting with the brain, the fleshy bits, then the carapace, and then usually the body last because to me it's the part that is hardest to avoid mistakes with. So I always save that for the end. Now they have been base painted, and I believe I highlighted them as well at this point. With the little tentacle guys, there's very little green on them. Maybe that's why people were painting the tentacles as the base color, because there really isn't a body on the little tentacle sentries. But on the main Neuro Tyrant, he had plenty of skin. This is then fully finished. The base is colored. You've got the little Space Marine head there on the Neuro Tyrant's base. The tentacles have been highlighted. The carapace is hatched. And that is what I have been able to complete so far of my Leviathan box set. Part 2 of this is coming when I complete the Neurogaunts, Termagants, the Von Ryan Leapers, and the Tyranid Prime. So stay tuned for that video, which will probably come out in the next few months once I get them all painted. But thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.